everybody. Today's gonna be a little bit different of a video. I'm gonna be talking about Metaphor and Persona and maybe some Shin Megami Tensei, and how these three franchises can help each other kind of understand how to make Persona 6 the best story it can be. This year we had Persona 3, we had episode I guess, and we also had Metaphor. And to me, Persona 3 to me is the strongest story that we have had. As much as I like Persona 5, and I do, it was my first game, and everything. First game and everything. Like, I still think Persona 3 is the stronger one when it comes to storyline. And I think it deals with a topic that everybody can relate to, which is death. And Metaphor deals with a lot of racial and classism. I don't think it deals with sexism really too much, but it deals with those two subjects very, very well. With it being a story based off of like fantastical characters. It's kind of funny how when we say human and Metaphor, it's this big, huge monster that's like grotesque and not civil, and it's like humanity lost its humanity is kind of what it reminds me of. And I think Metaphor has like an advantage because it is dealing with a subject, it's dealing with a fantastical world. So when you're dealing with a fantastical world, you can go deep into issues that you would not normally be able to get into when it comes into reality. You can go really pretty deep, but I think you can extend on the issue. You can extend on the issue extremely well. So, so that's kind of where I'm at with what I liked about Metaphor. Is that when it came to the confidants and when it came to what the story is about, you can relate it to anything. Like, the confidants might have not been very relatable, and that was something that I think like Persona 5 and Persona 3 do very well, is that they have relatable confidants. Some of them are really ridiculous. Like the kid that's trying to get with his teacher, I did not want to know about, okay? Like, we're not saying, like, there's been confidants that we're all relating to, okay? And then Persona 5 has some of them too. But, like, you have students that are just trying to be students, that are trying to survive day-to-day life, that are dealing with issues that happen in schools. The popular girl, the teacher gets kind of freaky with her. Like, it happens. Like, it's not something that happens all the time, and it's probably not something that's happened to, like, a majority of people, but it's something that we can look in, like, media in general and see, okay, this is a trope. Like, early 2000s, like, that was a trope. Like, teacher-student relationships, that was a trope. That was a choice. Can we stop? Thanks. I don't really want that in Persona 6. Especially if it's still in high school. I don't want the teacher-student relationship. Like, they can stop that anytime now. Like, it's an old trope that just needs to go somewhere. It has been 8 years since Persona 5 Vanilla. We do not need the teacher student relationship. Thank you very much, Atlus. But, um, what I liked about Metaphor is the confidants, like, each of them were going through something that I feel like we were going through their mental process a lot better. And I liked that they were a little bit shorter. Usually you go through, I'm going to call them episodes. So usually you have like 10 levels or 10 episodes with each character. And then number 10 is like their, their light bulb moment. Like, this is really what I want from life or something. And it was 8 in Metaphor. And I think having it 8 is actually perfect because there was no filler. It was, you met somebody and you were like, boom, 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 action. Like, if it was a very action packed confidant, like, you were going through that action really quickly, and it felt a little bit more realistic than from realistic. And then you have Persona, where it's like, okay, I get to go to a ramen shop with you. Like, you go to a ramen shop with them a couple times. And then it's just, and some of the dialogue is interesting. I didn't feel like we got to the point with the confidants until about episode 6. And it's just, I need it to either be shorter, or I need it to be like, you're in a confidant and you care the whole time. Like, I found with a lot of confidants in, I would say Persona 5 a little bit more, because I feel like there was more. And please, less confidants. I know, like, we have to have the whole tarot card, just the main ones. Like, just the main tarot. Like, it just feels like by the time I end one of those games, I'm exhausted. Like, it's just too many people. And I'm like, and it's like 10 episodes per person, and time's passing. I just get really stressed out about the time management in those games. I usually have to play those games 2 or 3 times to even maybe get close to the platinum. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about the gameplay today. But make me want to go through their life with them for like whatever amount of time I get to go through their life with them. And I think the important thing is make the main cast worth my time. Like, I feel like P3 and P5 have this thing, and Metaphor does too. So this is not where I'm giving Metaphor kudos. I really want them to learn this. Like, the last character that comes to your party, I should at least have about 5 hours with them. By the time I meet this person to the time that the game ends, I want at least 5 hours with them. Like, I want to get through their main storyline and their sub-storyline and still feel like I have time in the game. Like, I don't want to be rushed to get to know your last character, because those characters just don't end up meaning very much towards the end. And I think Metaphor did a little bit better of a job, because your last character is somebody that's kind of like maybe not completely in the party, but they're around. So you get to kind of know them that way, and then they join the party, and then you get to really know them. So it's like, okay, you're doing a little bit better. Atlus, you're doing a little bit better, but I need you to give me some more time with the last character, because that's where Atlus really shines if we're comparing them to any other studio. Any other studio that does video games, like, Like, they got the characters. Now, I mean, I know, we could talk about Square Enix all day and all their Final Fantasy characters, and we could have a whole debate. But, like, overall, like, Atlus to me has it beat. And that's because you have the confidants. You have the human interactions. You have the more slower paced storyline. Where Square Enix is like, okay, action, 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 pause, minigame, action, 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 pause, minigame, action, action, like, and that's just kind of where, they shine. Like, I'm not gonna start complaining about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and the minigames. But, Atlus needs to build on their strengths because they have some really cool characters that stick with you. Like, I just in Persona 3, like, her story kills me every single time I play it. And then, if you've played Persona 3, you know the ending. Like, I'm not gonna go into, like, what it ends. And then, like, when I finished Metaphor, like, it was such a rewarding experience because you get to fully get to know these characters, all their strengths, all their weaknesses, what they're going through at that point of that story, and you really feel for them. And that's where most studios kind of lack because they're not like extremely character based. Maybe they're more plot based. Maybe they're focusing more on the combat and stuff like that. There's not much we can, like, literally say bad about Atlus when it comes to that. Now, is there a lot of outdated issues when it comes to the Persona games? Yes. Like, totally yes, but it's also been 8 years since a new Persona game has come out. A lot of the tropes that I think even we experience in Persona 5 are not popular anymore. Like, I think I said before, like the teacher trope with the kid, like, I don't think that's, it might be a big trope in Japan. Like, that still might be something that they experience on their end. But here in America, like, it's not really that big of a storyline. I haven't watched, like, young adult high school TV for a really long time, so I can't really tell you if that's still a trope. I know it was a big trope, like, when One Tree Hill was going on. Buffy kind of had a trope like that. It was like a one episode and done. Um, um, there's others, guys. But One Tree Hill is, like, the one I can think of because I'm always having to rewatch it, and then it's that episode. I think Pretty Little Liars had that trope. I've never seen that show, but, like, that trope is just kind of dead in the water. Hopefully it doesn't come back, because it's been prominent in Persona 5 and 3. What other tropes? I don't know. I'm, like, really hoping that they change the way that the cards mean. Like, yes, okay, so you have the lovers, which is usually, like, kind of the popular girl. Like, kind of make her kind of damaged or something. Like, do something different. Like, we kind of had that with Metaphor a little bit. But she was, not the typical character for that. Like, mix it up a little bit. Like, you don't have to, yeah, they're the lover's persona, but you don't have to necessarily stick with the archetype. which is funny because archetypes is the like the persona type characters metaphor, but you don't have to follow it beat by beat. You can change it up a little bit. It would be kind of cool if like the devil's persona is like just misunderstood um and stuff like that. So that's something too that they could play with. That I know there's rumors, so don't quote me on any of this. The next color is green, so that could potentially mean more of a nature. Um, it could also mean money. So we could potentially be working with a bunch of rich kids. So we could potentially be working with a bunch of rich kids that, don't care. I've heard it's an art school, so you could get really snobby with it. Or we could go very nature-like and have, like, kids that are kind of a little bit more bohemian and very, we need to save the planet and stuff like that. So you could go two different ways with that color and it would still make sense. You could go envy, which might be the case. That is what that color is usually related to. I'm hoping for more of a nature because it'd be like really different. And you're not really dealing with social issues. And then, I don't know. Yeah, and I think that is the thing that also Metaphor did really well is the social issues. Um, there's a big thing about racism, and then there's a big class thing. And it would be kind of interesting if Persona did a class. I think they could, depending on what type of like environment they put the characters in. If it's more of like an environmental, like everybody should be pretty equal. But if it is like an envy, maybe you have like the student that got a scholarship and you have them trying to go through this art program or whatever. I know it like the art, the arts is more than a paintbrush, guys. I don't get me wrong, but like, and what they struggle with comparable to like maybe the rich girl or the rich boy or something like that. And I definitely want a girl and boy protagonist. Like, I didn't really play Persona 3 Portable. By the time I finished like the first one, the first part of it, like I was done. Like the gameplay just was not for me. I can play the cutscenes or whatever later in my life, but right now I'm just like, I'll just pretend that, we just have the boy part. But it would be really nice for them to do that finally. And put it in the vanilla game. Like, don't make us wait until Persona 6 2.3. Like, put it in the game. Like, let us enjoy it. Like, and maybe not. Like, I would love them to make a complete game that we just get Persona 7 afterwards. That would be great too. That is a dream of mine. That will probably never happen. They make so much money off of bringing out the same game, adding a chapter. We eat it up. Like, us Atlus fans eat that up. We're like, we're not gonna buy that game. We are in the store. We are in the checkout line. We are buying that game. Like, that's just the end of it. Just because we like the game so much. And we're over there buying the DLC too. Sorry, guys. But Green kind of excites me a little bit because they can do a lot with that. Blue was death. I think I don't remember. I'm not played Persona 4, so I'm not sure what the theme is. I know red is justice. So, or rebellion. Maybe yellow is justice and then red is rebellion. That might be it. So they could do like an envy. They could do like environmental rights. Um, which means like we could have a lot of interesting like science type characters that we interact with. Strikers had that. Where we were working with a scientist to solve a lot of the problems. Maybe not necessarily like computer people, but scientists that deal with the environment. They could talk about bioterrorism. Um, but it's just like we can really, really go crazy. Um, and then I like the reporter trope. I don't really want to romance the reporter trope, but I do like that Persona 5 had that where you were talking to a reporter that was like kind of using you were using them type of thing, and that was kind of a fun trope to play with. Maybe give the character parents, I don't know. Like like Persona 5 is just like you slap somebody, okay, we're sending you to a family friend. I'm like, okay, that we still really don't understand the relations of, really. He's just like, yeah, I was paid. Okay, this is your room. Okay, bye. For like the first probably half of the game. So we could have like a family dynamic finally. I think that would be interesting. And maybe some history with these personas. Like, I would love a game where they go through the history of the Velvet Room. Because I think we've had 5 games. It's time to really understand what it is. And I think, like, if you put stuff together from all the games, like, you could probably come up with a theory of why this place is created and stuff like that. I'm guessing it's probably a middle realm or something. Sorry guys. And then like why did the personas in the first place? Like why shadows? Like, and it's just like all these complicated things. And I would love like a back history of it. I could be the only one that's like, I really want to dig into that. Like, I think, like, does Igor know things that us as the players, I mean, obviously at the end, no, but, like, is he playing us the whole time? Like, did he know the ending of Persona 3? Did he know what the protagonist was gonna do? Like, because he's a trickster. Like, you don't really know what his plan is. So, there's part of me that's like, okay, if we found out, it could ruin some of the storylines for, like, later games. Knowing that, okay, this is really what it is. But at the same time, they could play that history. You could get the whole history, and then it's like, oh, no, this is a whole new Igor, whole new ball game. Like they did in a game. I'm trying not to spoil things, guys, because I know, like, with Persona 3 just coming out and Metaphor just coming out, I know people are probably just, like, getting into these games. So I'm trying not to spoil things that I know, but, like, and that would be more interesting. Like, go back in time. Maybe I don't need modern students. I would be happy if they were from the 60s. Like, it would be so much fun. Be so different. Because it's like the social construct of that time period is so different from today. And that would be, to me, a lot more interesting than having it, okay, it's 2020. Let's say the game comes out in 2027. That's probably not a bad prediction, guys. Unfortunately, I just want Persona 6. I'm hoping 2026, but, we haven't heard anything. We haven't even seen an ad. Kingdom Hearts 4 fans, like, we've seen an ad. Persona 6, no ad. We just know the game's coming out eventually. But, and we know the color is green. It has been verified, I think. But that's it. And I want it, like, Metaphor did not have a silent protagonist. And you still got to make choices and everything. Make the guy talk. Give this person a personality. Like, I am so done with the silent protagonist. Like, because once you have him silent, there's no personality. Like, you don't know what this guy sounds like. It's like, rah, 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 rah. Like, it sounds like the Peanuts. Like, when the adults are talking. Like, make the guy, make them talk. I know it's, and I think why, and I noticed this in Metaphor, there was a lot less spoken cutscenes. So I don't know if they went over budget when it comes to the voice acting, because they had a talking protagonist, but maybe extend your budget. Like, I know it's really easy for a fan to be like, yeah, extend your budget. Like, go from 10 million to 2 million, like 10 to 20 million, and I know that's not necessarily feasible, but I don't know. I would love a speaking protagonist. I think it would be great. And I think it would be something that, maybe not Persona 6, but Persona 7 that they could maybe play with. I know that they listen to feedback. Atlus is one of the creators of video games that I know listens to feedback. Because they send out a survey every year, you take it, and then magically we got Persona 3 Reloaded. And then we got Episode Aegis, I think was part of the survey. I don't know if the phone game, Phantom X, I don't even know what that really is. I haven't even played it. I'm hoping it's on my PC because I don't want to play on my phone. But if that game comes on PC, it's probably the fans that were like, we want it on PC. That's probably not an Atlus thing because I'm thinking that's probably pretty difficult to do. And please, not like 50,000 side games. Like, have Persona 6 3.2 and be done. Like, I feel like that is some of the thing about Persona 5. I'm oversaturated with it. Like, it is to the point where if I never saw those characters again, I would be okay for a while. I'll just go play Persona 5 Royal. Like, if I want to spend time with those characters, that's where I want to spend my time with them. It's in their main game. I don't want to spend time with you in some side game that really follows the same storyline. I'm not, no. I just want that main game and that's it. And I think that's what Metaphor seems like it's going to be. They might bring out a 2.0 eventually. You never know with Atlus, but it has started how to finish. So, and I felt like Persona 5 did, and this is something I really, really think they need to take from Metaphor, is they need to have a start, they need to have an end. I don't want to be questioning what happened to some characters. If you know, you know. um, for my Persona 5 loving people, you know what I'm talking about. But, and that happened in Persona 5, and it happened in Royal, and it was the same character that we still don't know what the end is for that character. Anyway, I've been speaking for 30 minutes. But this is just some stuff like I've been thinking about. I'm hoping that Persona 6 is gonna be like the best game ever. I'm really hoping we're gonna get like more of an extensive universe. We get better confidants. We get a better like overall arching plot. It would be kind of cool if we're not limited to a palace, or we're not limited to mementos. Like it'd be kind of cool if it was like the woods outside. Like if it was that, like if you get to like go all over the place, and then they could like put like dungeons and mountains and stuff. Like, and I think that's really where Metaphor had me until I started like getting to like the 5th or 6th dungeon, is that dungeons, like, they Metaphor still needed to redo this because a lot of the dungeons really look the same, with different enemies. Don't get me wrong, because I'm gonna have somebody in my comments be like, yeah, the dungeons were not different. I understand. I played it. They were not different. But they could have had a potential of being in different areas. Like, so having it a little bit more open could give us a little bit more environments. Because that's what I liked about the palaces. They were different. Each palace was different. Each palace had different puzzles. Each palace had a different gimmick. Each palace had shadows that were related to that palace, look-wise. So, I think they could do something similar. I'm hoping they bring the palace system back. I don't really want the dungeon system. I think that's what they did in 3 and 4, and I'm not a dungeon girly. Like, I need to get a different view. And I think it extends the storyline so much. And they need to go back to Persona 4. This is what I know about Persona 4, guys, is that each shadow that you face and each person that gets a persona, like, you go through their own shadow story. And I think that would enhance the confidants too, because you're learning who they really are. So that could be something too. But anyways, if you stuck around this long, like and subscribe. I usually post content like this on Thursdays. Thursdays was like my manga day, my manga anime. I think it's just gonna be kind of a like just a media day. Like, if I want to talk about Buffy, if I want to talk about One Tree Hill, or if I want to talk about more Gilmore Girls, like, this is just going to be the day. I'm just going to have, like, all the ranty videos. So, if you like this type of content, like, come on Thursdays. My book reviews are probably going to be more on, like, Sundays with, like, all my book content. But I think Thursdays is just going to be kind of like, let's chat. Let's sit down. Let's talk about stuff. It's still gonna probably be more story related. If I talk about a video game, I'm hardly going to talk about the gameplay. There is 50 other channels that you can go to that talk about the gameplay of all these games that I talk about, that I'm gonna talk about, because I know Persona and Metaphor were my first video games that I've talked about, but there's enough channels that, go over. Like, I did not like how the jumping mechanic. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the jumping mechanic of these games. I that's not where I'm at. I'm just going to talk about the storyline. But if you do want to join in, come on down. We would love to have you. Okay, bye.